Alright, well in our last episode we learned that we could run an application that's actually possible. All we did was we constructed a JFrame out of something called a new JHelloFrame. Well, there is no thing in the Swing package called JHelloFrame. Doesn't exist. So where did this thing actually come from, this JHelloFrame? Let's take a look at the application itself once it gets up and running. This is actually where JHelloFrame lives. JHelloFrame is something that we have customized ourselves, we have built ourselves. And because it lives in the same file hierarchy, here it is. Here's the JHello demo. Alright, so this is what it does. There's a little greeting that says, "What is your name?" And I'm going to type in my name. And I'm going to click the button, and I get a little thing that happens right here. Hello. Here. Well, hang on a minute here. There's no buttons in this application. There's no JLabel. There's no text box to edit text. So why the heck is this actually working? Well, we're constructing a JHelloFrame out of something called a JHelloFrame. Okay, here's my frame. I'm constructing a frame from that. Where's the JHelloFrame? Here it is. This is kind of like Where's Waldo? Alright, so here's my JHello demo. That's the class that actually contains the main method that runs the application. And here is the actual frame that I've constructed. And because these two files are in the same source folder, they're dependent on each other, or I can construct things from the one. And this is the one that I can construct things from. This is the actual constructor that makes the JHelloFrame. Alright? This is a different kind of constructor than the one that you're used to. The ones that you are used to seeing are things like this. You're going to go JButton press me, so you're making a new JButton called press me out of an existent JButton object that lives in the Swing package. You can do that because in Swing there is something called JButton. However, in Swing there is not something called JHelloFrame. There's a JFrame. So what I have to do is I have to construct my very own customized JHelloFrame out of the JFrame. So I do that here. Alright. It's just going to have some different fonts. Alright. And it's going to have some different components than a typical, not components, that's the wrong word. It's going to have some different characteristics than the typical JFrame would have. The only really new component here that you guys don't really know about is this text field. A text field is what the user enters information into. This thing right here. Now when you set up this number right here, that number is the actual characters that would live inside the text frame. So if you were a programmer and you were programming something that would accept numbers for a zip code, you'd want to set that to only accept those certain numbers, and then if somebody entered in more numbers or fewer numbers, you would have an error code that would pop up informing them of that. So I'm going to compress all of this and open up the file so that you can actually code it yourself and see all of the code. Here's all your imports. You need AWT because you're going to be doing some work with fonts, and fonts are not contained in the Swing package. You need the event because you're going to be having an event going on down here. You're going to have to extend JFrame just the same way as you extend the graphics program when you're using the ACM package. You're also going to have to implement the action listener. Down here is where the action listener happens. Alright, now let's look at this one thing right here. JLabel greeting equals new JLabel, and see how it's empty? Let's look at what that would be. That's this thing right here where it says hello Ms. D. Well, we don't know what the name of the person is who's going to come along and use our application. We want to leave that up to whatever it is they enter. So we leave this string empty so that it can receive whatever happens down here in the action event. Alright? So whatever that person enters, if you look at this code down here, you can see how that works. It's going to feed into that empty string. The only other weirdness that I need to tell you about is this. This is something called serialization. Serialization exists because when we're reading files in and out of a text-based database, you lose the actual information about the type of data that you're working with. For example, if I wanted to move out of this file, which I'm not doing, so I'm really not so sure why Eclipse makes me go through this, but it does. If I'm moving out of this file, like an integer number 3 or something, and I want to write it into a text-based database, I'll lose the fact that that's actually an integer. Oracle at one point came up with this system called serialization, which makes it possible to actually retain some information about what kind of data you're moving around. This is just the default setting. If you get a little error code, let me see if I can actually do this. If I delete this, whether it'll give me the error code or not, and then compile it. Let's see. Oh, you stop that. It's telling me, oh, it's because I've still got the application happening. Yeah, see what'll happen is you'll get that little yellow error code. Oh, let's see. Here's one right here. This guy, right? And so if you click on him, right, you'll get a list of things that you can do to actually make that error, warning go away. And one of the things that you can grab is, to add that serializable line of code right there. It's just a warning. You can still run the application without it, but if it bothers you, I can't stand those little warning messages, so I usually just add it in. There's a way you can turn this off in Eclipse. If you go to Eclipse, Preferences, and then you go to Java, and then you go to Compiler, and you go to Error Warnings, Potential Programming Problems, Serializable Class Without Serial Version UID, you would choose Ignore, I believe. Yep, you would. You would apply it, and you would click OK, and then you could just get rid of that, I believe, and I think it would just go, all that stuff would go away. Let me see. Yeah, it's okay with it now. I won't get an error code. Yeah, so you can just turn it off in the preferences if you want. Alright, so go ahead and code this up and analyze how it works, get familiar with it, and have some fun. You can change it around too if you want.